Troy Michael.
Cool.
Yeah. Honestly, it was multiple years of just going to festivals since like 2007 is when I started going to music festivals, and it just eventually it kind of just became a thing that's like, well, I don't really have any other hobbies that like I'm super passionate about, and I know I'm super passionate about music, and I actually played in a band in high school. I was the lead singer of a band in high school, so I figured might as well give it a shot, and I bought pretty much everything from the get go. Got the controller, new computer, got speakers, lights, everything, so that I could be like a one-stop shop to where if I would be able to throw like a party in venues that had nothing to offer, and I was able to bring sound and everything. So, yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I definitely wanted to get really, really solid behind the decks because you can be an awesome producer, but then if you go back to someone who actually knows, really kind of how to mix pretty well, like all that effort that you put into those good songs, you might ruin it if you don't really know how to properly like transition and things like that. So I thought that it was a lot smarter for me to figure out how to work the turntables and utilize the mixer before I really dove into production, because starting production like from scratch and teaching myself on Ableton, which is like one of the has the biggest learning curves, definitely has been a challenge, but I'm finally getting to the point where I'm able to put some stuff out there. So, yeah.
Cool.
The production side of things probably started maybe 2.5 years ago, but almost exactly a year ago is when I released my first track, and it's on everything like Spotify, iTunes, everything, or Apple Music, everything like that. And then I'm finally releasing my second track almost exactly a year later. I was not as productive during quarantine as I thought. I think not having the energy of live shows constantly, like kind of like I don't want to necessarily like bum me out, but I wasn't around all of that like constant energy of people and the dancing, so it kind of like made me feel a little bit stagnant. So I wish I was a little bit more productive during quarantine, but I mean it's I'm kind of now excited to start going like full speed into production again. So yeah. Well, at first, actually, I set up a really nice area in my house to where I was doing actual live streams, and I was doing them like a couple times a week. I had on like I had started a Twitch TV channel, so like that was really really cool, and like I would have a couple friends over, but especially in the beginning, the roommates I had, we weren't trying to have more than a very very small select few people that we were allowing into our home. So it would always be like me jamming out on a live stream with like one or two people watching me in the living room, which was fun, but it's just not the same as having that huge crowd that's like all on the same page as you. Nothing really compares to that.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
Yeah. Well, originally, what really got me into electronic music was actually a show way back in 2010 at the Bluebird. And that was bass music. That was like heavy bass music, and that's kind of what attracted me to electronic music at first was that. But then, really going to a festival that catered more to house music and like more of that like kind of four on the floor like fun, like kind of like what I just played. Like once I realized like how much of a journey that can take you on, how it's not necessarily about just each song. It's about like it creating like a mood and a vibe and kind of like going up and down and taking people on a little bit more of a journey. So I thought that like house music was way more appropriate to play like in normal settings. Like you don't want to literally listen to like rhythm and dubstep when you're hanging out in your living room with your friends. Like it's not really the same unless you have like the production behind it. But with house music, it's great. You can, if you know how to dance, you can really really dance well to it. Or it can be really kind of just nice background music. So yeah, I kind of then once I actually started mixing, is when I was like, okay, I have a lot more fun. I can get into more of a groove, and the transitions can be a little bit more extended. Like with bass music, a lot of times they tend to just like new build and drop a song completely and not really blend them together a whole lot. And I really really like mixing music together and trying to see like and sometimes I'm able to fit like three songs playing at once to make sound like one track, which is really really cool.
Yeah.
But Um, let's see. Well, so at the Bluebird, my first really, really big show I played was when I opened for Ganja White Night. And since then, I actually got to play when Liquid Stranger and Manic Focus came. I actually got to play a back to back. I opened for them, and then they let me go on stage and close down the night with like a back to back to back, all three of us. And then when Dirt Monkey and Sub Doctor came, I mentioned that I'm comfortable on the CDJs and that I played with Liquid Stranger, and then they were all about it and let me go play back to back with them as well. And then besides that, Chris Lake was probably, from a personal standpoint, like huge. It was huge for me at the Bluebird. That was just like the best show I think I've ever been to at the Bird. And then besides that, I played at Bass Country, which is the intersection in Grand Rapids, which is a really, really nice. It's like a 3-stage venue. It's huge. And then I got to open for. I mean, there was multiple stages. I was on a house stage and got to open for Walker and Royce, which are in my top 3 house music artists ever. So that was amazing. And I also got to. I've played a couple Holy Ship related events, which is an electronic music festival on a cruise ship. That's actually what I should go back to. What got me into house music? That it was going on that cruise ship, being stuck there listening to house music for 3 days on the ocean, is what did it. And then I never really looked back after that. I was like, okay, this is what I'm about now.
You really can't get off at that point.
Yeah.
What are you-
That's the goal. It's not a full-time gig. Well, especially if I was relying on that during quarantine, it I wouldn't have been able to make it because there was nothing happening. But for the past 3 years, like before COVID hit, I was playing about one show a week on average. So I mean, it was pretty good. Still not enough to actually support and make a living off of, but a really, really nice side gig, and like it's a passion. So it really wasn't even about the music. If I'm at that point to where I can not have to worry about another job, that would be amazing. And I know the production side of things would start moving along a lot quicker. But I actually work a 9 to 5 now. I was in the restaurant industry for 10 years as a server, and I just recently became a beer distributor. So I just drive around in my car a lot, which is great because I get to actually research music. While I'm driving around, I can get like I'll have like an hour here and there, and then I'll just like screenshot. Okay, I don't like that song, next song, screenshot. And then I get home, and I'm like, okay, I have 20 cool tracks to try to download. So it's kind of nice. I can kind of work on music stuff while I'm driving around. So. I'm definitely hoping to be on some of the top house music and electronic music festival events. I don't see myself necessarily playing as something like Lost Lands, but I mean, getting on some of those big music festival lineups really is a goal of mine, and I think if I start releasing enough tracks that do gain some attention, it will be very possible because I have met tons of contacts with a bunch of really pretty big name producers over the years that I've actually became buddies. I started an LLC a while back, a couple of years ago, called Troll Patrol Presents, and I was bringing some big name artists, people that have played like EDC and stuff, and I pick them up from the airport and I let them stay in my guest room in my house and cater them all weekend, and then actually host a show with my own lights and sound and everything like that. So maybe picking back up on that side of things too, a little bit more, like throwing shows, hosting shows, and then also hopefully being able to get on some of those bigger festival lineups. The sync button, it's fine to use it, especially if you want to definitely play it safe. If you're not that comfortable beat matching, it does take a moment to train your ear to know when it's right. I feel like I only will use it if I'm in a situation where for some reason it just doesn't seem like it wants to line up. Sometimes CDJs can get a little weird, and they're not exactly the same BPM. So as opposed to constantly hitting it, I might tap it just to get the BPM right, but then I usually end up adjusting it a little bit here and there. But yeah, I definitely try not to rely on it. If you notice when I was playing, I was kind of hitting the edge of the turntable a lot, and that was just me slightly moving the song forward and back. I know some good DJs or some people that have gotten pretty big that have used it, but for the most part, people who really are on the turntables a lot, if you go and start playing next to them and you're using the sync, I mean, it's hard. I can't not say they might be a little judgy, but I just try not to use it as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys.
Thank you.